Welcome back. We'll be finding out how Mr. Ogungbesan intends to expand the tax net to build Nigeria's economic base. We should be held accountable for not auditing the accounts of 2014. This is July, 7 months after.
We are to prepare our audited account ourselves.
For 2014?
For 2014, which
is
what
July. This is July.
We prepare 6 months after the end of the accounting period. Even corporate entities in Nigeria here, we will assess them on preceding year basis. The law allows them to prepare an account not later than 6 months after the end of the accounting year.
We have on records that FIRS generated 4.6 trillion in 2014. How much has been remitted to the Federation account?
The whole amount. That's why you're able to give the reports this way. The Accountant General's Office, the CBN, the Federation accounts, they are aware that 4.6 trillion was collected, and the whole 4.6 trillion was remitted into the coffers of government.
Now, I could remember the former Minister of Finance, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, once pointed out an efficient tax regime as a possible bailout from the dwindling revenue. Is the FIRS ready to step up to this role?
Well, we are prepared. We are strengthening our processes. We are placing premium on audit functions. We are following all the debts owed by taxpayers. And we are engaged in massive tax enlightenment programs to ensure that taxpayers really understand what they should be doing under the law. But you see, you need to know your customers very well, just as the banks are doing. We need to know where our taxpayers are before you can do a good tax administration over them.
Are you suggesting that you don't have a formidable data system to know who are your taxpayers?
We have a data system, but which captures only those few ones that are under our radar. But there are a lot of taxpayers out there that we need to first of all bring into the tax net. That's when we can do effective tax administration. Now, let me tell you one snag that is beleaguering the Nigerian tax system. You have 37 tax authorities, the center and the states working together. Each of them have their own taxpayers. A good tax system will have been one where we have them organized at a central level so that exchange of information between us will be an easy task. But today it is not. The world bodies expect that FRS will be able to provide information about any taxpayer in Nigeria. Yet, we administer corporate taxation in Nigeria, as well as the residents of the Federal Capital Territory. Now, with the recent promulgation of the FCT Revenue Board Act, that even takes the responsibility of administering personal income taxes within the Federal Capital Territory, away from FRS. So how can we do effective tax administration this way when different bodies at state level are administering income tax, personal income tax administration?
Does that suggest in any way that the FIRS has been sleeping on its role as the chief tax collector, the chief tax administrator of Nigeria?
The duty of a taxman is to collect, and we are collecting. All we are saying is, if we have the power and the authority of the law to do whatever is assigned us to do, there should be no competition about it. We are even saying we can add the responsibility of personal income tax administration from all the states to our function, so that all of us at the same time will be speaking sense, rather than the states being allowed to do personal income tax administration in their own various states, and the FRS is doing its own at the center, and we are not speaking the same language. I keep the records of corporate entities that are being subjected to tax, that is the personal emolument of staff of those companies. Some part of the information, in fact, the 90% of the information is kept by me, but the portion that relates to personal income tax administration, which is in the records of the company, is being administered by the state. Can't we work together? Can't we have an MOU that enables me to help them do the collection, since I have all the records, and give the money back to them?
Okay, now let's look at the tax reform now. How far has the Federal Inland Revenue gone in this tax reform?
We have the study group of 2002, Professor Dr. Phillips, with numerous recommendations. And one of that recommendations was the need for Nigeria to have a national tax policy document, which had been implemented. We developed it, it was approved by government.
So what difference has the national tax policy brought into expanding the tax dragnets?
It sanitized the tax system for Nigeria. Now it says that states or any revenue authority cannot give tax administration function to consultants. That's regulating the way we do business. It says again that states or local government council cannot just on their own wake up more money and then introduce new taxes that are not within the law. And these things are being obeyed now. The objective of the national tax policy is to have a set of criteria to which all of us will subscribe. All of us doing tax administration in Nigeria will subscribe, both at the states, local government council, at the individual level. So everyone knows that it is their responsibility to pay taxes.
Okay, how do we bridge the gap, the yawning gap of 25% drop in the federal government revenue?
Check the records of non-oil. Has it not been increasing? It never dropped. It never dropped. What has dropped is oil revenue. If there's a drop in production, it will affect the quantum of oil proceeds. If there is a drop in the price of oil in the international market, you also expect a drop. That's what you are witnessing. You're saying that for the 2015 national budget, there's a drop in revenue expectation. What that will require government to do is to take the opportunity of second quarter review to make necessary adjustment where necessary.
Tell us more about the integrated tax administration system.
Well, it's just like saying, what is the cost of ICT deployment in an organization? You know, it's huge, and it will continue to increase. But the important thing is it allows you to do your job more effectively.
Just for the records now, could you just tell us what amount is involved?
It's huge. There are various projects. It's not one single project. ITAS alone is costing almost 2.6 billion. ITAS, but it's not done yet. The TIN platform of the JTB itself is costing about 3 billion. You know, these are huge projects approved by council.
Has there been any school of thought in a way that have suggested that just a slice of this 5 billion naira could do a lot in inspiring the workforce to expand the dragnets? Because at the end of the day, the workforce are still going to work on this system you're introducing.
Well, I don't know. The cost ICT is all over the place today, making the whole country, the whole world, a global village. If you want to consider the amount of costs deployed to these sectors, and they're comparing that to what will have happened if that same sum is pumped into the economy, you are not comparing likes with likes. It's like you are comparing banana with oranges. That won't do us any good.
There have been pressures from different quarters for government to diversify, but in practical terms, now, especially with this new administration coming up, we've seen revival of power plants, refineries coming back to life. And some people have also said that the returns from the oil sector is just too huge to ignore. What would be your advice? Would you suggest the federal government just concentrate on other areas like the agricultural sector?
Well, they've started well. Reviving those ailing sectors or industries in the sector is a step in the right direction. These ailing companies are limited liability companies some are PLCs, and they've been registered with the sole purpose of making profit. So if they are positioned well, they will, at the end of each year, pay taxes, and that helps government.
Before we wind down this conversation now, what are you doing to curb the high wave of the reports on corruption associated with the Federal Inland Revenue Service?
Oh, are you saying there are reports of corruption in the FRS?
You'll recall that even your predecessor's sack was not unconnected with cases and accusations of mismanagement of funds.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But as a government agency, we have a responsibility to checkmate corruption in all its ramifications.
Are you suggesting that you've never heard any allegations of corruptions?
No, I haven't. There are misbehaviors. I hear of misbehavior.
Financial misbehaviors?
Not financial misbehavior. Attitude of our officers on the field, like demanding for bribe, you know. We hear these things. And as soon as we hear, you expect us to take action. We dismiss such officers. There are records of people we have dismissed, you know, from the organization. But I think the response is a societal thing. Corruption is a societal thing. I'm not going to condone it. The present management of the FRS also will not condone it. And we have to demonstrate that truly we're not party to it. That's why we went around all our region to tell them there's a new management and we have zero tolerance for corruption.
Mr. Sam Ogungbesan, thank you very much for giving us so much insight into the operations of the Federal Inland Revenue Service. And by the way, on your appointment, which is still fresh, congratulations on your appointment as the acting chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Thank you very much.
More power to your elbow.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's as much as we can take on this episode of Question Time. You may also send us a comment on our various social media platforms showing on your screen. Join us next week on another exciting episode of the show on Channels Television. Many thanks for watching. I'm Benga Ashiru saying goodbye.